Hey, it's Nate with Pulse PMF. We're at the Pulsecast booth at the 2025 Biohacking Conference. Joining me today, Josh, is a celebrity fitness trainer, health optimization coach, and obviously a biohacker. If he's going to be walking around with this community, so far you've been walking around the tech wonderland. What do you think so far?
I absolutely love it. First of all, thank you. Wonderful intro. I love your energy.
Absolutely.
At the very beginning, I gave you a compliment that's probably rare. I want to encourage men to compliment other men, right? And so
Yes.
he's got a beautiful smile, and
Thank you,
your energy
Josh.
is awesome. So I'm happy to be here. This is not my first rodeo at the Biohacking Conference.
Nope.
I was actually at last year's Biohacking Conference also doing speaking and presenting.
Oh, nice.
Today, I'm going to be presenting in less than 2 hours downstairs.
So you got to get a pulse session in before you go do that?
Of course. But, so I'm a fan of Pulse, and I have been for a long time. And, I guess we just dive right into this,
Tell
right?
us the story, how you got connected with Pulse, since this isn't your first rodeo.
Right. So basically, from a long time ago, I understood that we are electric beings, right?
Yes.
And we're also vibratory beings. And so all of that together, if you kind of start at the very base level, I think the lowest hanging fruit is going out in nature and getting grounded.
Yes.
And like actual grounded, right? And a lot of times people think that you have to take off your shoes and socks and stand on a beach or stand in the grass or in nature. And of course you can do that, and that's the sort of the lowest hanging fruit. But that's not the only way you can get the electricity that we need, the energy that we need for our cells, our cellular energy.
Right.
Right. And so then I started looking around at ways I could ground myself easier and better and longer. So I started to look into different grounding systems, things that you could apply, like little mats you could wear or, place your feet on while you're at the desk, and then eventually I got to having a bed sheet and started doing the whole bed.
Come on.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
You go down that rabbit hole, it'll keep going.
Exactly. Well, it's a long rabbit hole.
It is.
And it's one of those rabbit holes that most people just don't quite understand because it's not tangible enough usually, unless you have a lot of systemic inflammation or acute inflammation and you notice a diminishing effect of that inflammation, then you're a believer.
Right.
But just to tell someone prophylactically, let's be grounded as much as possible, they're kind of like, yeah, but does it really work?
It's not inspiration for like a commitment where you're going to build a discipline around that. Yeah,
Right.
I see what you're saying. Yep.
So as a biohacker, as a health coach, as someone who likes to try to experiment on myself so that I can then share with my community and my loved ones, I wanted to find something that was a little bit more powerful to make that go boom, like right away. I wanted it to stick.
Yes.
And so I did some research, and of course I want to find the best of the best. And so I happened to come across Pulse. Back then it was Pulse Centers,
Yep.
And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Very expensive, but if you're investing in your health properly, then how much is it really worth to you?
Come on with that.
Right?
Yes.
So then I started, I found a few places where I could go and try it out in New York City. And I tried it and the light bulb came on and I was like, oh, this is it. I said, because I know what the effect of grounding is, but if I put someone on this table or on the chair or the whatever, and they tangibly feel their muscles and their body sort of
responding to the magnetic field. Yeah,
exactly. Then I said, that's the easiest barrier of entry for me, right?
Absolutely.
Like the lowest barrier of entry. And then while they're sitting on said chair or lying on a table or whatever, then I can talk to them all about grounding.
You have a captive audience, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was about 10 years ago, you said?
I think that initial sort of first time trying it, I think it was back in 2019. So that was like, what was that, 6 years ago? Something like that, yeah.
Okay. And since then, as you've been diving deeper into the rabbit hole and learning more about the electrical system in our bodies and the vibrations of our bodies, what has been some of the most compelling evidence for you to continue with Pulse PEMF as your PEMF provider?
Well, normally, because I have a decent sized profile on social media and I, known as a content creator and things like that, I usually get companies sending me things to test and try out. But what I appreciate about Pulse is that you guys don't work that way. It's like, look, you need to have skin in the game. So I had skin in the game. I decided to buy a system for myself.
Wow.
And it was the Pulse X is all I could afford at the time. But it was what carried me through the pandemic, to be honest with you. And so I had it. I then got one of my high profile clients to also purchase a big system, and which would be the XL Pro. There you go. And then one of my other clients got the XL Pro Elite because he didn't want the other client outdoing him, right? Which happens, and it's all good.
Yes. It's a friendly competition, right?
Yeah, right. But and that works. But here's the thing. He and I both, so we developed inguinal hernias around the same time.
Wow.
And for whatever reason, inguinal hernias can happen for whatever reason. But I remember after I got my hernia repair surgery, there's typically like this recovery period of maybe 6 weeks or something like that. But you do a 2-week checkup. And because it was somewhat during the pandemic, I had a lot of downtime. I used my Pulse X system every day for many hours a day, just kind of sitting there, letting it do its thing on top of my grounding. So I would sleep grounded. I would Pulse X while I'm on the chair watching TV and doing whatever, right?
It's so easy to multitask with a Pulse product.
And I did my 2-week checkup, and the surgeon looked at me and was like, wait a minute, but didn't you just have your surgery 2 weeks ago?
Comes.
I was like, yeah. He's like, you've got to tell me what you've been doing, because whatever it is you're doing something right, because it doesn't even look like you had surgery 2 weeks ago, right? So my wounds healed up very fast because I was able to use the sitting pad or the pad, right, the square pad.
Yep.
And then I was using the rings, and I was using the circle pad. What do you call it?
There's the power ring, the paddles.
The paddles.
Yeah.
So I was able to use the paddles, right, in the area of the site of injury or of repair, and then obviously I have all these other tools and techniques, right? But when I tried to explain to him what I was doing, it was like his eyes just kind of glazed over because he didn't really understand what I was talking about. And that was when I realized, like, there's still more work to do.
Yes.
And just because there was a direct example there, surgeons don't have a lot of time to sit there and understand, right?
Yep.
And they're just trying to cut and, prescribe and then move on. And here I am trying to explain to him, well, I did this, I did that, I eat this way, I exercise that way, I sleep this way. And he's like, okay, well, good work. And then he goes on. But for me and my other client who was dealing with the same thing, he was 80 years old and he recovered as fast as I did.
Wow.
Right. And that's powerful. Now, he has the XL Pro Elite system. So he's able to lie on the table and watch football or soccer all day long while he's on the table on the system.
Wow.
But I think that's a powerful story for me and anyone else that's like listening. It's consistency does matter, right?
Yes.
And truly invest in your health, because this is one of those systems that can be passed on generation after generation after generation. And you can, like, one of the benefits of having the Elite system or the Pro system is that you can put multiple accessories in at once.
Exactly.
Right?
So if you want to do the push-pull effect between two accessories, or you want to hit two target areas at the same time, absolutely brilliant. So with let's going back to the consistency, and I love that you're using the term investment, because more people need to see it's not an expense, it's an investment. You're investing in your future self, you're investing in your future family, even just as all that we've learned with genetics and epigenetics and how we can actually set up our future descendants on a better course by taking care of our bodies now. We're actually investing in our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. We're setting them up for success by doing those things. What are some of the daily disciplines and consistency that you're doing now? I mean, you gave some extreme examples of recovering from surgery, but now what does that look like on a daily basis for you and maybe also your clients? How do you recommend using Pulse for just the daily things? Yeah,
so for the daily things, like I use the term prophylactic, or the common term is just preventative measure. I like I've spoken about already is sort of that grounding effect. And so what I like about certain systems you have is you can tweak the frequencies, right? And so you can get into the grounding frequency if you want. You can turn up the intensity so you can actually feel it. You can use it systemically. And so if we think that recovery is important because we have a lot of stress all around us. People think of stress as one thing. They think of the stress of their family or the relationship or their work life. But there's also environmental stress. There's epigenetic
Yes.
stressors, right? And so environmental stressors. And so we at some point need to fill up the cup again, right? So that we can recover. Recovery is so important.
Yes,
And I use Pulse system to recover.
Come
And
on.
so I think is the coolest thing when I have someone come over to visit me in my lab in New York City.
Yes.
I have the Pulse system there every night, every day. So anytime someone comes over, if they already know my place, they want to sit on that while we're talking, while we're eating, while we're doing whatever, because you're getting recharged.
Yes.
It's like, think of your body as a battery, or think of your cells as different capacitors that need a charge. If you think of your cells as little cell phones,
Yep.
then at some point, what do you do when you see your batteries going low? Well, you know that it goes into power saving mode. It doesn't work as efficiently. That's what happens to our cells.
Yes.
So
Great analogy.
if you're putting your phone on a charger at night, somewhere in the house, hopefully not by your bed, but if you're putting a phone on a charger, then why not charge your cells as well?
Right. Yes. No, I love that you use that analogy in particular, because there's so many who are at that 5% level of battery life on many of their cells. And they're wondering, well, I'm working out and I drink purified water, but they're forgetting the cellular energy element of those things. And I was about to ask you, how do you describe to your clients what this is? And that's a perfect analogy.
That's how I do it.
For everyone nowadays, that will resonate and they'll totally understand that.
And sorry to cut you off, but the piece that you just touched on is also very important, which is the hydration piece. A lot of people, because this can also be known as a detox, right? You can use this as almost like a detox.
Because it's exercising the cells.
Exactly.
It's creating that permeability in the cell membrane, so toxins are leaving and nutrients are being able to come in more easily. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So when we work out, I love how you call it like a cellular exercise, because when we actually exercise, we are creating little micro tears, and we have to heal from that, right? We have to recover from that. And that's how we get the physiological benefits we hope to gain, is the recovery from said degradation, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so with this, you need to make sure that you're well hydrated. You're also eating a good diet. So it's not just you get on this, you're fixed, you're good, you're done. It's like you do everything else around it. Make sure that make sure you understand what true hydration is, what electrolytes really mean, because then you're fully charging the system the way it's supposed to be charged. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
So it's like I talk about transference when it comes to grounding. And one of the cool sort of experiments I do when I have someone come over for the first time is I'll have them get on my grounding mat, and then I'll have them sit like side by side, and we'll see if everybody can be grounded. But the moment where the grounding action stops is when the person is not hydrated well enough.
Wow.
So that's a really cool experiment. So then what do? I give them fully hydrated water with my special water, of course, like structured and hydrolyzed and all these things.
That you cook up in your lab.
Of course, right? And then I have them get on the Pulse system for about 10 or 15 minutes. Then we retest it, and every single time it works.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that's for those out there who are.
I would love to see a video of that.
I'll make one. Yeah.
You need to.
Yeah.
That is phenomenal. So going back to some of those stories, you've listed quite a few testimonials of how you've implemented this on yourself, other practices. Are there any other like wow moments that you've had with some of your clients?
Well, I'll tell you a funny one. With one of my clients, maybe I won't name drop, because whatever, you can figure it out at some point if you know who I am and what I do. But one of my high profile clients ended up getting a Pulse XL Pro system, and I had the Pulse X. And for whatever reason, there was a moment in time in which I think we had to change out her system. And so luckily I had my Pulse X. I brought mine over. She was used to using the XL Pro.
Yep.
The power of that, the whatever.
There's nothing like it.
So then I'm like, hey, until the next one comes, let's just use mine. And I put it on her, and she was able to feel her foot when we were doing the XL Pro, because we were trying to work on some things on her foot. And on the XL Pro, she was able to feel it, like tangibly feel it. Oh, that's too much. Let's turn it down. But with the X, she's like, what is this? Is this like a Honda? You gave me your Honda version of like the...
Oh, no.
Right? And it's like, not to say that the X doesn't work, but I just was like, well, hold up. Like, don't knock it. I mean, just because
Yeah.
you don't feel it the same way doesn't mean it doesn't work.
Right.
It just, it's just the power is not the same, but you're
Yep.
talking 3 times the money. So like, this is all I could afford. You want to buy me the XL Pro? Then we'll bring that over, but
Yep.
it was a cool thing. It just showed the power of it. And she wanted to always have that. So now I think she got one for herself and for her parents, So
Wow.
it's, it was just one of those moments of like, it's not a testimonial that says like, oh, she was miraculously able to walk. But when you get kind of hooked on the power of it, then you don't want to ever leave it. And so
Yes.
I hope that people don't waste the money and not use it. I want them to be consistent. That's kind of the message and the reason why I bring that up.
Yes, no, that's a great point. I was just interviewing Joe Lahote, who is one of the sales reps here for this company, and he was talking about how the Pulse X and the Pulse XL Pro, they appeal to different clientele, because some people like the Pulse X, they just need to take PEMF with them before, but there's people who have tried PEMF before and then come to a Pulse system and they're like, is this PMF? Because this feels totally different than
Right.
the other PMF systems that I've
That's right.
tried before.
That's right.
And the XL Pro, obviously, that is the top tier. There's just nothing like that,
Yeah.
that experience. So how can people find out more about you and follow you and hopefully we can see that video
Yeah.
of that test with the hydration element?
For sure. So I'm on social media, all the social platforms. I'm at Joshua J. Holland. So that's Joshua, my middle initial J, and then Holland, like the country. And you can find me on most all major social platforms. And then I have a podcast called Simply Walk the Talk. And also, I am representing Vivo Barefoot. So I do a lot of education and community events, workshops, seminars. So I have a lot of courses in which we talk about foot health, because at the end of the day, if we want to truly optimize our overall health and wellness, I believe that it starts from the ground and works its way up. And so we talk a lot about foot health, the importance of falls in the older populations, the importance of being able to naturally move your feet. And hopefully we come up with some videos that show what happens when people come up with like plantar fasciitis and things like that. So I know there's some things on the horizon from Pulse and how we're going to work together, hopefully. And hopefully you see that on the website soon.
I love it. I love it. And that with the presentation that you're going to be doing later today, is that going to be around a lot of what you just shared?
Yeah.
Is there any other sneak peeks that you can give us before that presentation?
Well, let's basically, we're going to be talking about how most people think that they know it all, especially at the Biohacking Conference. They know about the brain, they know about the nutrition, they know about how to build your muscles and things like that. But no one's really talking about one of the main points of longevity, which is the preventing falls, right? So the older population, if they have a fall at a certain point in their life, it's detrimental to their life. So if you want to really talk about longevity, we need to talk about balance.
Yes.
And so I'm going to be talking a lot about balance and foot health.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people will be very shocked at how poor their balance is. And I'm going to take them through a lot of that
Oh,
and
that sounds
explain
awesome.
also why and how modern footwear destroys all of that in our bodies.
So if you are not at the Biohacking Conference now, you definitely need to follow Josh so that you can stay up to date with the developments that he's discovering and the protocols that he's putting together. Josh, thank you so much. I appreciate
you.
your time.
Thank you.
And don't forget to also follow Pulse PMF on socials and YouTube, as we're going to be putting out more content like this. We are at the intersection of innovation and impact here at the Biohacking Conference, so stay tuned on the Pulsecast.